Hey folks, welcome back. Hope you've been doing well out there. So in today's video, I want to share with you 5 of the kind of very common attachment needs that every human being has that I see often coming up at the core of wounds for people, right? So if you're not familiar, on this channel, I've been over the last year really pivoting into talking a lot about attachment as being very central to our wounding and very central to how to heal. And so this is a topic I haven't really unpacked a whole lot. I've just kind of shared a little bit about my impressions about attachment theory and attachment. But in today's video, I wanted to start kind of digging into this a little more and share with you 5 of the major attachment needs. And I think there's a huge list. There's a bunch of common attachment needs that every human being has. That if you understand these, they're really going to help you to understand what motivates other people's behavior, perhaps what motivates your own behavior, and perhaps what's at the root of people's wounding or your own wounding. So hopefully you'll find this useful. Let's go ahead and get into it and start unpacking these 5 different attachment needs. Okay, so the first one off the bat here is going to seem fairly obvious, but yet this is one of the most common places where people get wounded and where we tend to struggle. And this is we have a deep human nervous system attachment need to be loved as we are, right? And loved for our presence, as opposed to, say, being loved for what you do, or loved for your role, or loved for some sort of transactional thing that you can provide, or loved for XYZ, some projection that's been put on you, right? You can start to see where people get wounded around this a lot. This is so, so important for us to feel and know and experience at a nervous system level, that we are loved for who we are, as we are, in our most natural beingness, right? So this is a core thing, right? Second one here, we have a deep human attachment need to feel heard, to feel seen, and to feel understood on our own terms, right? So this is another big one that you see a lot. This is often where people get into power struggles, either with family members or with friends or romantic partners or with bosses or the world around us, right? Major place where people get stuck and where people have wounds is that we don't feel heard. We don't feel seen. We don't feel understood. And particularly, we don't feel understood on our own terms in the context of the way we see or the way we think or what our value system is, right? So often when people make an attempt to try to see you or understand you, they do so from a place of projecting upon you, either what they think are a universal kind of set of value systems, which kind of don't exactly exist, or they project upon you based on their value system more commonly. And so what we get is, even if people make an attempt to understand us, they usually attempt to understand us on their terms, not on our terms, right? But I would say that in order to truly be seen, truly be understood, truly feel accepted and heard, right? This has to happen, in the context of what makes sense to us, our logic, our way of seeing, uh, our worldview, right? And someone who really takes the time to understand your worldview and understand your value system and understand what's important to you and how you see and how you think, without judgment, without, kind of like avoiding or being dismissive or rude, but just makes a really good faith effort to totally understand your way of seeing and really and see you and help you feel heard inside that context. I would argue that person is probably going to feel like an ally or a deep friend, and that's going to be a profoundly healing, connective, deep moment for you, right? So this is point number 2. We have an attachment, a core attachment need to be understood in this way at this level. The third one is to know that you have impact on those around you and the world around you, right? So this is often where we see people who are either overly intense and overly pushing, or maybe even veering towards the sociopathic or the narcissistic, or even more subtly, more simply, where we see people who really get into power struggles where they've always got to have their way, or they've got to push, or they've got to whatever, right? Often what's at the root of these wounds is a need to know that we have impact on the environment around us, right? And this is something we all need. A lot of us have deep wounds around this. We feel powerless. We feel not only that we're not seen, but that we don't have the ability to, even like make a blip on someone else's radar, either emotionally or psychologically or experientially, environmentally. A lot of times we just feel powerless and we feel like we don't have impact, right? And for a lot of people, this becomes the defining kind of need of their life, is they're driven by a need for impact, right? And this obviously can, comes out of a wound and can really distort kind of the outcomes you get in your life, and can end up being too heavy-handed and hurting people's feelings, and kind of create this like really big, intense, dramatic life out of what's essentially an unmet attachment need. So I would encourage you, if this is you, to start to think about how you could get this need met, because this is a core need. Every little child needs to know that they're valuable, that they're seen, that they're important, that they have impact, right? That they're going to be taken care of. So this would be the third one. The fourth one, which kind of, a lot of these overlap, as you can start to sense, as human beings, they're not super clean and clear cut, but they are distinct. So this kind of overlaps with the last one here. Fourth one is authenticity, right? Human beings have a need to be allowed to be their authentic selves as they are, right? So this also ties in the first one of being loved for your presence, loved as you are, right? But we need to be allowed to show up and be as we are, be ourselves, whatever state or mood you're in, whatever your honest thoughts and feelings are, whatever your natural way is, to be met there and allowed to have that and be that, to be your authentic self, right? Without having to put on pretense, without having to put on social masks, right? Without having to put on like a performative role, right? We all need this level of authenticity. It's super, super important to the nervous system. We don't feel safe. We don't feel comfortable if we can't be authentic. If you don't feel safe and you don't feel comfortable, you can't let go of whatever needs letting go of, and therefore you can't heal or grow or change, really, right? This is a major input for healing and growth and change, authenticity. And it's circular. As you heal, you become more authentic. As you become more authentic, you heal, etc. Right? So, but this is a core need that a lot of people have. And again, look around you. Look at how people put on, people-pleasing masks and are fake and do things to try to hide what they really think or what they really feel, or how they really are, because they're afraid that they're not going to be accepted, they're not going to be loved, they're going to be judged, they're going to, be shamed, etc. Right? And you can see how this ends up like turning in all kinds of wounds that are distortions of this core need for authenticity. The fifth one, this overlaps a lot with authenticity, is a need for self-expression, right? As human beings, I want you to just think about this for a moment. The very first thing, the very first instinct we have to get our needs met is to self-express, to cry, right? As babies, we are born vulnerable. We are born needing everything, right? We can't take care of ourselves at all, right? And our initial kind of genetic strategy to get our needs met is to self-express, to cry, to make noise, to be seen, to be, attuned, to invite that attunement from our mother, that safe connection from our mother or our caregiver. It helps us to know that we will get our needs met. This is deep. This is nervous system level stuff. This is body stuff. This is not mind stuff. But this does translate into an impulse for the rest of our lives to have a need to self-express, right? So this is another core attachment need. There are a lot of people who don't feel like they're allowed to express themselves, or don't know where they can express themselves, or don't know how to properly or safely express themselves, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then these wounds of self-expression turn into wounds of not getting our needs met, or feeling like we're lying to the world, or feeling like we're repressing a lot of emotion or somatic energy or spiritual energy, or et cetera, right? So if we don't self-express, if we aren't, finding a way to self-express and get that need met, then it'll start to cause wounds. It'll start to distort, or the other way around. The wounds will cause us to not self-express. Now, I want to be clear with all of these, because these can be taken uh, a little far, right? These can be taken out of context as license to be overly self-expressive, or be obnoxiously authentic, for example, or to be aggressive in your need to have impact on others, et cetera, et cetera. We can take these needs and distort them. And I would say that that's a sign of the wound, right? So that what I'm saying here is not a license for you to just go ahead and go out there and, well, and these are all now rationalizations and reasons for you to be a big obnoxious presence. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that these are core needs, and if you're acting out from these needs, this is why. Or if you see others around you, maybe it's not you, maybe it's someone around you who kind of acts out from one of these needs. Now you know why. And now the thing is to get that need met so that you feel balanced, so that you feel centered, so that you feel whole, so that you feel safe. And this is, again, what I see over and over and over, right, with my clients. And quite frankly, in my life, in myself and those around me. I mean, it's not just at work, not just with my clients, but in general, this is what we see over and over and over. This is only five of what are a huge list of core principles and needs of attachment that will be in this course that I'm making. But I just want to share them with you and start to get you thinking about this and seeing through this lens and get you to start to notice, okay, what are the core needs that if we stop demonizing them and we meet them and we nourish them, creates a healthy, balanced human being, right? So just to go back over these five really quick, and as I'm going through these, imagine what a healthy human being looks like, right? So first need again was to be loved as you are, love for your presence, right? So a healthy human being might be someone who's internalized that and knows I'm loved as I am, right? Feels secure in that, feels comfortable with that. A need to be heard, seen, and understood on your own terms. Again, a healthy human being probably either feels heard and seen, or if they don't, they will make an effort to make sure they're heard and seen on their own terms to the best of their ability. Uh, Number three, you need to have a need for knowing you have impact on others. So again, a healthy human being trusts that they have impact on others and knows how to use that skillfully and not be abusive about that, but instead feels comfortable and secure in their ability to have impact on others in the appropriate context. Number four, authenticity, right? So we have a need for authenticity, to be authentic, to be ourselves. Think about it. A healthy human being probably feels very authentic. They can just be themselves. And number five, again, of many here, is a need for self-expression. And what we see a lot with healthy human beings, that they're comfortable and confident and easy in their self-expression. So hopefully this is a little food for thought for you, just to start to get you thinking about attachment needs. Now, what I see over and over, again, of course, in like the psychedelic therapy space, is these come up constantly in all kinds of different ways, right? So this is one of the things we're looking for and working with in, well done kind of psychedelic support. So anyways, just thought I'd share with you, get you thinking about this. Let me know what you think. Does this resonate for you? Does this hit home? Is this a little too heavy for you? Is this bringing up feelings? Is this an aha moment for you? For me, I think, understanding core attachment needs is a huge part of understanding maps of wounding and also understanding human behavior in general and why people are the way they are and what they do. And once we recognize this, this makes us skillful relators in the world. If what people's core attachment needs are, and in general, what human beings' drives are at an attachment level, then you can start to speak to that and work with that and address that in a really fun, easy, skillful way. This doesn't have to be intense and heavy and sad. If you're someone who shows up and helps people feel loved, helps people know they can be their authentic selves, help people know that they have impact on you, help them feel heard and seen, people are going to really feel moved and touched by your presence. They're going to love you. They're going to appreciate you, right? So food for thought. This is part of the roadmap towards healing and towards wholeness and well-being. So do with that what you will. Would love to know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.